Crescent City Steakhouse, a true neighborhood restaurant operated by the Vojkovic family since 1934, is the oldest steakhouse in the city of New Orleans. Serving only hand-cut, prime-aged, corn-fed beef for over 80 years, Crescent City Steakhouse has become a dining destination for both die-hard locals and adventurous travelers who seek traditional, timeless New Orleans cuisine. Crescent City Steakhouse, 1001 North Broad, on the corner of St. Philip, in the heart of New Orleans.
Fall in love with autumn with PJ's new seasonal lattes. Our pumpkin latte brings you all the flavors of a pumpkin pie with hints of cinnamon and nutmeg, like your favorite holiday dessert in a cup. And our s'mores latte with flavors of toasted marshmallows, warm milk chocolate, and graham cracker cinnamon is sure to bring back campfire memories. The PJ's Fall Seasonal Lattes, available at your local PJ's only for a limited time.
Hey, don't forget my pimento cheese.
It's okay, I'll take it from here.
Hey, the guy get a seat! For the love of palmetto cheese.
Good evening and welcome to Primetime Sports. My name is Scott Alexander. I'm your host tonight. And last week we had a great show. We had Willie Fritz, the football coach of Tulane, but we also had the head coach of the LSU baseball team, the #1 team in the country, Jay Johnson. Well, guess what? The season starts 10 days from now, so we're going to make this a baseball show mainly. And we're going to have 3 of the local coaches here that are doing great things. Jay Uhlman from Tulane will be on the show. Blake Dean, the former LSU legend, who's now the head coach of UNO for the last 8 years, he'll be on, as well as Matt Reiser, another legend here locally. He played for Tulane, they went to the World Series, and now he's been in Hammond for 16 years, 10 as a head coach. But let's start with football because this is Super Bowl week. We know how big this is. Super Bowl 57, the Kansas City Chiefs with Pat Mahomes against the Philadelphia Eagles with their quarterback Jalen Hurts. What a great matchup. The first black quarterback matchup in history of the NFL and Super Bowls. I'm looking forward to this because this is one time I can honestly say that these two teams have both great stories, but they're both so evenly matched. You know, Philadelphia probably has more talent, but when you have a guy like Pat Mahomes who's going for his second Super Bowl title in 3 tries, well, you got some magic right there. So I don't know which way it's going to go. I'm just hoping for a fantastic game. Jalen Hurts is such a great story. Alabama, then Oklahoma. He won a title at Alabama, got knocked out of his job. He ended up being an earlier pick than most people expected. They thought he'd be a receiver, but then he's doing great things. He was a candidate for MVP, which it looks like Mahomes will probably get this season. So stay tuned on Sunday. Let's go to LeBron James. I don't know why this record is not getting more play, but this is one of the great records in sports history right there. He scored 27 on Saturday against the Pelicans in a Pelicans win that broke a 10-game losing streak, but that put him 36 points closer to the record. Career scoring with that guy, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was one of the greatest players of all time. Jabbar in the 70s and 80s, you see all the things he racked up right there. LeBron's about to break this record, and that should not be looked at down because this is an unbelievable record. I remember when he was in high school, in a junior in high school, it had the chosen one was a Sports Illustrated. And when that moment on, I was living in Atlanta, I said, I've got to get this guy on my show. I've never had guys that were that young, but it was his first national interview back in 2002, just a junior in high school. He was wearing Jamal Crawford's jersey right there, but LeBron James is about to do great things. He's done nothing but good things for the NBA. I don't know why people don't like this guy, but he is an incredible athlete, and only Michael Jordan can be perceived in his class when you're talking about the greatest of all time, and that's my opinion. Let's move it forward. How about Tyjae Spears? I forgot to talk about him because this guy, the Tulane guy who went to the Senior Bowl and got voted as the best practice player of the week. That means everything when you talk about Senior Bowl because that's when you get to talk to the coaches, the scouts, the general managers all week. They love this guy. And Tulane, you had a great player. He's a Conference Player of the Year. He's going to do great things in the NFL. We'll talk about more stuff later right here on Primetime Sports.
Sundays at 6:30 p.m.
Hey, welcome back to Primetime Sports. And like I said in the open last week, we had LSU coach Jay Johnson on after his first season at LSU last season. They were ranked #1. We have another new coach. This time it's his first year. He was an interim coach at the end of the season when head coach Travis Jewett left the Tulane Green Wave. And Jay Uhlman took over, and we had him on not long after the season, but this is the first season preview we've had with Jay. We're going to talk Tulane baseball. Already said in the open, we're going to get a little bit UNO with Blake Dean later. And, of course, Matt Reiser is going to talk about his Southeastern Lions. But let's start with the Green Wave. That is the team right here in Uptown New Orleans. You can see those games right on Claiborne Avenue. Jay Uhlman is going to sit here and tell us about what's going to happen this season. He opens the season up there out west where he grew up. They're going to play Cal Irvine. UC Irvine, and they're going to end up going and play one game with UC Fullerton. That's a tough schedule on the road to start. And they come back to open the season on February 24th against St. John's. And here he is. Welcome back to the show, my friend. The second time.
Here. Appreciate you having me.
It's so good to see you.
You too.
I mean, one of the friendliest guys. I remember the first time I spoke to you, I was on, I think I was on Dickie Brennan's porch at night looking at the river, and Blake Dean said, you got to call Jay Uhlman. I think you were doing a recruiting trip or something, and you said, hey, I'd love to come on.
Yep, absolutely. I love, I've enjoyed our conversations and are building our friendship as we go through this thing, so just great to be here. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I'm getting a free plug here. Ran into you at the Creole Creamery once.
Yep. Yes, you did.
We went to Yale College Inn, a lot of the old local haunts. But this season, now you're entrenched. Now you're the head coach. I mean, that was the thing. Let's go back to that, because I remember when you went through the interview process, you know, you were an interim coach and you took over from Travis Jewett. What was your thought process as far as interviewing for this job? Because it's not common that the guy that's the interim gets the head coaching job.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I wanted the job, wanted to stay and put some equity in it for 3 years, recruiting the players that we had, and just really wanted to see that through. But I understood, being in the business for so long, that the odds of me getting that job were pretty slim. So, when Troy interviewed me, when Troy interviewed me along with some other staff members, it was legit, and there was genuine interest there. And he had to do his due diligence with the position. It's a baseball-rich program, and so you can kind of go and try to get who you want, but it's a job where I kind of had a little bit of an upper hand because I've recruited there for 3 years, so a little bit of the ins and outs and kind of the nuances of recruiting to a school like Tulane. So I was hopeful, but I'll be honest, I was preparing for the worst.
For the people that don't know, that didn't watch the show back in June when you were on the first time, kind of give people your background. I know you played college at Nevada, and I know you've coached around the West Coast and stuff, but tell them how you got here. Yeah,
just, I started off as a junior college coach, head coach at 25 years old. So I'm now bookended being a head coach. Did that for a couple years and then went back to my alma mater for about 9. Spent a year and a half at Oregon. Went to Kansas and then came back to Oregon for another 9 years. So came here to Uptown in 2019 and not looking back.
I've done some games in Oregon. There you are as a Duck coach over there, and I love that campus. I love doing the football games there. Yeah. Obviously, that's a great stadium, but. Going from there, you had a couple guys do some crazy things in the major leagues this year. In fact, the time I saw you at Creole Creamery, it was like a big week for you.
Yes.
Who were those dudes again?
So we had Ryan Nelson, a right-handed pitcher that pitched really well for the D-backs at the end of the year. And then a Spencer Steer, who was traded from the Twins to the Reds and then made his debut shortly after. So it was, I think that was the 26th and 27th guy that I've been able to coach that's been in the big league. So really exciting. It never gets old.
How does that feel, seriously?
It's amazing. It's, you don't do anything. I mean, they're the ones that do it all, but you're grateful to be on the journey with them and be a part of that. And, when you reach out to them and they respond and thank you, and it's pretty cool.
So you've been in New Orleans 3+ years. Let's get this whole thing down. I see you run around Uptown. I see your kids playing at Carrollton Ballpark. And you know what I thought something cool? When I had you on before, I showed a picture with Nick Anderson and I think it's Dorian Williams, two captains
and Larry
that ended up. This was when they were coming off a 2-10 season.
Larry and Mandel,
And then they went from this time. They went to 12-2. Now I've had
studs.
I've had Nick on the show, and one of the great human beings I've ever had on this show. I mean, for a college kid to be that mature, but. This shows me a lot. That one picture that these football players came out and supported a baseball coach's kids. You know, that's pretty cool.
It's really cool. And you know, my boys are not shy, so they kind of insert themselves into places that some other kids might not, and those guys welcomed them in. And you know, my kid Sawyer invited him to come to one of the games, and I just told him, look, buddy, I know you love those guys, but don't expect them to show up. They're busy. And those guys showed up and took their time, not only with Sawyer, but also with the other kids at Carrollton, and really kind of sucked us in, and really was a kind of the starter for where they were to where they got. And so for me, it was no surprise the success that they had. It's a special group.
You know what? That's very cool. You know, I'm going to say this in a couple of ways, because I got to know a lot of the players this season. Obviously, success breeds success, and I had them on the show. They were the story in the fall, a lot of it. So I was, you know, obviously the quarterback was on, the Tajay was on. You know, we had a lot of guys. But the maturity of these guys and the leadership that I was watching, and that just shows me everything else, because you know, I don't know how well they even knew you, really. I mean, they're around, but that speaks for the Tulane athlete in general. Yeah,
I would say that's really accurate. And the thing, it wasn't just the stars of Tulane football that showed out this year. It was other guys as well. For the most part, their outreach to the community and particularly my kids was really special. So they were more than deserving, really genuinely happy. My staff and my family got to go to Dallas and watch that, thanks to Troy and the staff for allowing us to do that. And so to be able to be there supporting that was great. And I think not just football, but I think all the sports, when you have a smaller school like Tulane and everybody's in one building, you see everybody every single day. So there's relationships that form, and there's a lot of people that have been there for a long time. So it is you use that word loosely and you throw it around, family and so forth. But I think in our department, there's a really great vibe right now that people are really active in trying to support each other, which is really great.
You know, the other Jay Johnson was on last week, and he's also a West Coast guy. It's really cool that you have these two West Coast guys. You know, the other two coaches on today are local heroes. One at LSU, the UNO head coach, and obviously the other one at Tulane, who's at Southeastern. But it's really cool, you guys coming from the West Coast. I've noticed a common bond of coolness with you. I mean, I really have. Both you and Jay are very cool guys, but what's it like for your family to come from like Oregon and be over here? Because this is a different atmosphere, and you've been here 3+ years, right? I want to hear what that's about.
Yeah, it's, I would say, just transparently, it's 180 degrees difference in a lot of different ways. But the thing that resonates with me are the people here. You know, you hear it when you first get here, and it's like, if you love the city of New Orleans, it'll love you back. And it's really true. You know, it's small town, very much like Reno, where I, spent 13 years of my life, and 2 of my kids were born there. Everybody knows everybody. It's kind of old world, old families. And those things resonate with me, the loyalty, and you just treat people right, and they appreciate that, and they treat you right back. So I love it. You know, we've had a good transition.
I want to get to the players, but I got one last thing. What was it like for you to witness what you saw in the football, not necessarily the great season, but that when they won that championship and all the people on the field, Tajay Spears was telling me, man, it was so amazing. I had the college kids hugging me, and I had the 80-year-olds hugging me. They all wanted pictures. But just to see that, I got chills right now thinking about it, because I haven't witnessed that at Tulane since '73 personally, and I was a kid when they beat LSU 14-0. But the fact is, what was it like for you?
It was awesome, because my kids were so invested in their success that it just kind of brought you along. And as and working there and networking and just being at all the games, you kind of start to get a feel for how special that thing was. And then to see grown people, 80-year-old people crying in Uhlman when we won the conference tournament, when they won the conference tournament, was really special. And so I think when you're invested that way, it means a little bit more. But the thing that I really appreciated, while everyone else was really happy and rightfully so, I can't tell you how many people I was sitting down in the front row right before the field, and how many people I made eye contact with below, from police officers to former coaches to former players to boosters, that looked at me and said, "Y'all are next." So that kind of cool. In the midst of that, to think of that was really cool. So it means a lot.
And I'd be remiss to not even bring up what Ron Hunter's doing too in the basketball.
Yeah,
I mean, you guys
no doubt.
They're 3rd place in the conference right now. They swept Memphis in a thrilling game last week. But let's get to the team. I had the pleasure of hosting Dylan Carmouche this summer. He's got a ring already with Mississippi State. He was a transfer. He played somewhat sparingly last season, but this year he's going to be the ace. He's a tall guy. He's a lefty.
Yep.
He's got some BBs going. What's he mean for your team and in the Tulane quote-unquote franchise?
Yeah, he gets the ball on Friday, so he gets to start the weekend and kind of set the tone for our pitching staff. And we love his tempo, how he holds runners, how he fields his position. 3-pitch mix guys developed a slider this year, so feel like that's going to weaponize him to get even more out. So I think highly of him and his mentality. He's a winner, and I'm just looking forward to watching him have the opportunity to take that ball every Friday. Just like I tell him, Friday's my favorite day of the week.
My favorite day of the week, baby. It's everybody's favorite day of the week. We're working for the weekend.
Aloha Friday.
Hey, real quick. Last week I had Jay. We talked about, it's no doubt what his baseball philosophy is. He likes to score runs.
Yes, he does.
This dude likes to put them up in bunches. I said, you don't like the small ball like Whitey Herzog did in the 80s. He goes, heck no. I want to put runs up. What's your baseball philosophy?
I love Jay as a friend. He's actually not telling you the truth. He's not afraid to safety bunt. He's not afraid to double steal. I've seen it. I've been on the other end of it.
Well, Dylan Cruz might tell you.
I know.
Dylan Cruz will get
that's
the steals.
Right. You're not going to give up outs with those kind of bats per se. So, from us, by all means necessary is kind of the way I look at it. We feel good about the middle of our lineup, and I'm not trying to bunt every single time, but if the game asks for that, then that's what we're going to do. If it asks for a steal, we're going to do that. But we got to pitch. We've got to play defense. Just trying
that's
to play an exciting brand of baseball.
You mentioned the squeeze, safety squeeze. I mean, that's baseball, man. Let's have some fun with it. Let's take some risks.
They do it when you get to the postseason in MLB. The bunts start breaking out. I think the Braves didn't bunt one time all year last year, and then in the play-in game they bunted.
They did. So, that's a team I love to follow.
Just saying.
So you have your number 2 right now appears to be Christian Sanchez.
Yes.
And how's he looking?
Great. He's probably made the biggest jump in the staff. I think sparingly last year, maybe 6 or 7 innings. Had the stuff, it didn't quite click. He's made some good adjustments with Coach Izio, our pitching coach. And he's been electric this fall. So really excited about him, getting a lot of interest from the pro guys, and rightfully so. It's 92, 94, 95, and big curveball slider change. So he's really worked hard. So I'm excited for him as well.
And it's nice to have a guy that's been a 4-year player at a D1 school. I mean, Power 5 school, Purdue, and you got Ricky Castro, and that's a veteran, and he looks like he's going to be starting the weekend. Yeah,
so he gives us a lot of good bullets out of the chamber on Sunday. A lot of strikes. Another 3-pitch mix guy, 4-pitch mix guy at times, can stop the running game pretty good. He's quick to the plate. So there'll be some things that he'll be able to do that are going to allow us to use our bullpen a little differently on Friday and Saturday as well. So
he looks good in that Tulane jersey. Hey, I know Chandler Welch is another one. He's a local guy from Holy Cross, and he's going to get some time on the mound. Yeah, he's he did a little bit of everything for us last year: start, long relief, close. So we've prepped him here from January till now to build up his pitch count to start, but probably going to lean. The back end's important. You got to have some of your best pitchers at the back end too, because the game in college baseball is a 7, 8, 9 inning game. So we got to get that solidified. So looking for him to do those kinds of things. I think I was talking to you when I was in Colorado this summer, because I remember, and I talked to Kevin at Mama Hat, and he was like, I went to the Tulane meeting. I told them they need more local guys. He pitched for the Tulane in the 80s. Got a little stint with the Yankees, so he's got a little something behind it. And so I know you got Brian Valagoski, right? And he's another guy from Jesuit. And you got, obviously, that's a pitcher. Gavin Schultz is from Holy Cross. He's going to play shortstop, most likely. So, and I just mentioned Welch. You're hitting some new. You got a pipeline coming in too. What about some of those guys? We do. Yeah, we've got another Jesuit kid, William Good, coming in. Blaze Blanchard from up north. Johnny Blanchard's grandson. There you go. Yep. And we have Grant Cohn from Dunham. We got a couple kids from Catholic, Alex Ainsworth and Cole Cranford. Right. There's Blaze right there. He's got a big stick. There he is. Yeah. He's at Turling's Catholic now, right? Yes, that's correct. Yep. And then Billy Good's kid, William Good. I know he's a Jesuit. So I know the local. Stephen Spalita. Eli Lorette. Yeah, you got guys. Lakeshore, Dunham, Mandeville. Catholic, Lakeshore. You got Mandeville. Yeah, you got a lot of guys coming in. We got to hit to the heart of this line. Up though, what you got coming with us? Well, we're looking at it's
a little bit older at the bottom of the lineup, a little bit younger at the top of the lineup. Gavin Scholes, Teo Banks, Brady Margette, Jackson Lynn will probably anchor the, kind of middle of the order, top of the order kind of things. We'll have a nice piece back, Chase Engelhard, who was a freshman All-American, hit 290 with 50 RBIs and 9 homers as a freshman. He was oft injured last year, so he played through a lot of injuries. So looking for him to have a good bounce back and being healthy is going to be important for him. And then we have Simon Baumgart and Jared Hart and kind of some older guys that are going to be really key pieces for us. So
you mentioned some of those names. Like, give me like a 10-second nutshell on those top of the order guys.
Young. Potential MLB draft guys, really talented kids. Really excited to kind of see their continued growth here over the course of the next year and a half.
Well, listen, we got a brand new color now, and you're the first recipient of this.
Beautiful.
I don't have a ton of this color, but I figured, this is kind of the off blue. I mean, it's a little lighter than normal, but I love sky blue personally. So this is Task Performance.
Beautiful. Thank you.
I say it every time when you got a Tulane guy. That's a Tulane.
Nice. Thank you.
Al Andrews right there. That's him. He is the owner of Task, and this is a gift certificate for a restaurant right on campus, by the way.
Yes, thank you.
Chez de la Chez, right between Carrollton and Broadway on Maple Street.
Thank you.
Anybody that knows Tulane knows Maple Street right there.
Absolutely.
And we're going to sign on the helmet right here. I got the gold, the bronze that shows up in the green. I know it's not the right logo, but this thing's been around a while. I don't want to take all these names off. There's Al Andrews right there, but he's in black. It's hard to see that one. So here.
I'll bring you a new helmet.
There you go.
I'll bring you a new helmet.
As long as it's signed, I'm good to go. Yeah, we got to get that angry wave. But sometimes, when you do the emoji and you do roll wave, which I do frequently, look at you. That's a veteran right up top. That's the part that's going to be seen on every show. He knows it. Right there, whenever I have Tulane working. My man.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Always a pleasure.
And by the way, you're not skipping. Anybody that knows baseball well knows that going out west, your home digs, starting the season, you see Irvine, the Anteaters, I believe.
Yep.
Is that right?
Tested early. Yep.
And Fullerton is World Series every year. Well, used to be all the time, and I know they're still very good. So check out the Tulane Greenway. But this is a baseball show, I told you. Next, we got LSU legend Blake Dean, but he's no longer at LSU. He is with the UNO Privateers and has been for a while now. He took over for the Godfather. That's right. Ron Maestri had come back to coach. Blake Dean was his apprentice, and he took over. We have him. We had him on last summer. We're going to have him on now just to preview the Privateer season right here on Primetime Sports.
The owners of the Delachaise Wine Bar on St. Charles Avenue have opened up their newest creation uptown on Maple Street called Chez de la Chez, a new local wine bistro featuring a larger menu of small and large plates, a brighter atmosphere, and full table service. Additionally, patrons can enjoy a large patio out front as well as an extensive wine list offering selections from around the world. It's Chez de la Chez, 7708 Maple Street between Carrollton and Broadway.
Rock and roll will never die. It's old New Orleans, my, oh my. Come on, baby, let's go rock and roll at the city lane. All night, let's roll, let's rock and roll. Baby, do the rock and roll. At Mid-City Lane's the home of rock and roll.
Hey, don't forget my pimento cheese.
Of course. It's okay. I'll take it from here.
Hey, can I get a seat? For the love of palmetto cheese.
Welcome back to Primetime Sports. Like I said earlier, it's all baseball all the time on this show. The season starts in 10 days. Can you believe that? Our next guest is an LSU legend. That's right, 2009 national champion, one of the sweetest swings I've ever seen. That team was magic, and he's trying to do the same thing with the UNO Privateers. This is his 10th year in New Orleans with the Privateers, his 8th as the head coach. He was under Ron Maestri, the Godfather, who was a legend, obviously, at UNO, and he came back and coached them after they were the first World Series team from the state of Louisiana back in 1984. But Blake Dean is trying to get his Privateers back on top again. They've had some great success under Blake, and here he is. Probably the guest I've had more than any other baseball guy in this town. When he first got here, I came back from Atlanta, and I was doing radio shows back then. He was always on. And since I've been doing this show since 2016, he's been on every single year that we've been on besides COVID, and here he is again. What's up, my man?
Oh, you see it. You see it. Baseball and a kid. That's it.
That's right. You got to do kids. Tell us what that's like in your life.
It's tiring. It's teaching me some patience, some grace, helping my baseball coaching as well. But it's going on good, and it's awesome.
So how long has this been? I remember. Is he a year yet?
He's only 2 months old. He turns 3 months old. Yeah, so it's new. It's fresh.
Oh, you must have been pregnant a year ago. Okay,
yeah. There you go.
So nice. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Now you got the season starting. This is always magical time. I mean, everybody's 0-0, and there's a lot of hope springs eternal in baseball. What's your outlook this season?
Well, I always say this. I was talking at an event the other day. I have Coach Maestri and Coach Maneri. Obviously, Maneri's retired now, so he comes down a lot. Maestri's always there. They give me a little extra motivation. So Maestri's, day before the first game speech, 56-0. Dean must go. Maneri 0-1, and Dean's done. So, right. That's kind of those two guys helped me out a lot. But we opened up on the road this year, first time since I've been here on the road with Mardi Gras being here. We're going up to Kennesaw. And then we go midweek on the road to Southern Miss. So we'll have a test right out the chute.
Two great programs, by the way. No. I mean, people that don't know what Kennesaw is all about, we know they're a tournament team last year, and I lived in Atlanta. I know they take it seriously. So going on the road as opposed to home, I know you know that's tradition to be at home. And what's that going to be like for you?
It's going to be tough. We'll get a gut check right out of the jump. Again, typically we've always been at home. I like to be around that 30 home game mark. With our conference realignment stuff, we don't have as many home games, so just trying to figure out the best schedule we could do and make it work.
I mean, Southern Miss was a beast last year as well. These both weekend series, or are you going to do a Tuesday or Wednesday game?
Yeah, Southern Miss will be a Tuesday, and then we'll do a weekend series to open up at Kennesaw.
Okay, so you stopping on the way back?
We'll come back, stay the night here on Monday, give them off, and then we'll go up there and play Tuesday.
All right, so let's look at the big picture here. You took over from Maestri 8 years ago. Where's the program been to where it was when you took over?
Yeah, I think when we first got here, right, there was a lot of, let's call it cloud cover over the program and the university.
No doubt, yeah.
I think we took it and moved it in a really good direction. I think we became very consistent. But like everything else, you've got to continue to move forward. We've kind of been close to finishing something or putting ourselves in a position to potentially win a conference championship. We just haven't done it. We fell a little bit short in the tournament. We've got to get better and find a way to finish.
You're right, because the first year I was here, Petty was the coach, right? And then there was talk about D3 and all this, and from that moment to where UNO's programs are, I'm talking like all sports, basketball, volleyball, and all these other sports. They've come a long way because UNO was such a proud team. I mean, I grew up here, 70s and 80s, basketball, baseball, very proud. And the pride's back, there's no doubt. I mean, now you guys have, done well in the conference over the last few years. But tell me what that means to you, though.
Well, again, when I came in, I was only 27, right?
Right.
I tell people all the time I wasn't necessarily deserving of the job. I didn't have my experience. I didn't have all this coaching, but I mean, was given an opportunity and I took advantage of it. I came in and built something I think that I can make Coach Maestri proud of, Coach Maneri, all the fellow alumni. To me, that's important. It's important to make those guys proud and continue to make them proud. He's out there every single day trying to improve that place. You see how much he cares. And I tell people all the time, I enjoy baseball. I do. I enjoy hunting and fishing a lot as well. So I tell people a lot of the times when I go out there, I want to continue to improve and make people proud, and make a legacy for what that guy built, to build upon it. And we've been doing that, I think.
Very few head coaches can say they won a College World Series, and particularly being one of the stars of the team as well. What kind of that experience? How does that help you coach these guys?
Well, to be quite frank, there's not a lot that I can take from it besides the fact that I've been at a high level. I've played there.
Look at the pictures right here, man.
Yeah, they can reminisce on a little bit, but kind of what I'm seeing now is those guys don't remember that anymore.
No,
a lot of these guys.
Of course they don't. I mean, but they can talk about. You can talk about the dog pile because that's something they all strive for at the end of the season, right?
Sure. Basically the only thing that it gives me a little validation, right? They can go watch it on YouTube. They kind of see it. Some of the new guys, but. Ultimately, it just lets them know what I've seen at a high level, what I see at our level, what we got to do to improve. And again, like I said, it gives me a little bit more credibility with them.
I saw Schimpf in that picture, and I had him on for the first time last summer. What was that like, that conglomerate of players? I mean, Chad Jones, he had some success. You had a good group of guys. Was Matuk on that team? Yeah, is he still in the majors? I mean, you had a good group of players over there.
Yeah, it was very good. I mean, when you look at it now, I mean, you had Mitchell, Ochinko, Schimpf. Matt Clark was the year prior, but I mean, it was like murderer's row. I mean, there was no let up. 1 through 9, you know, you were stacked up, you know, lineup wise. Arm-wise, they were good as well. You had Ott, Renato, Lewis Coleman. So, I mean, the team was loaded. It was a good team.
I mean, it looks like Jay's kind of trying to load up this same way this year. And that brings me to the next question with y'all's, what I love about New Orleans and the region, Baton Rouge, and you can go to Lafayette, even McNeese. There's great baseball here. There's no doubt about it. There's some of the best baseball in the country right here. Matt Reiser's done amazing things at Southeastern. Obviously, we know what's going on now with Tulane, and they've had tradition, and they're trying to bring that back. But what's it mean to have this region be so strong? Because, I mean, recruiting players, et cetera.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously it's something that we talk about all the time. There are no easy games in our schedule. You know, even when you look at the SWAC schools around here and other schools that, you know, typically don't have the funding and means to, you know, to do things like that, they're very good. All these teams are good.
Yeah.
South Al, Southern Miss, Tulane. I mean, those are our non-conference games. Those are tough.
Very tough.
Louisiana Tech, I mean, Lafayette, UL, I mean, keep going. I mean, baseball here it's unbelievable. It really is as a whole.
I know, we just threw in Lafayette and Louisiana Tech. These teams are kind of perennial ranked these days, it seems like. Let's talk about this year's team. Okay, so you lost some players, but you got a big stick in Isaac Williams still. What does he mean for your club?
He came in as a freshman out of Tioga, a guy that came in a little early, needed to get some confidence.
Yeah.
Swing and miss, but he's a guy last year that really turned it on at the end. Almost hit double-digit home runs for us, plays center field. So a guy that's kind of grown into himself. He's going to have a big year for us. We're losing a couple bats we did last year. He's going to have to step up and be a guy that produces for us. Who else are you counting on in that lineup? Miguel Usechi. Usechi was a catcher for us last year, more of an offensive type catcher. Again, a guy had a great fall, hit 9 home runs this fall for us. Nice. Went out there and did really, really well. But again, when you're replacing a Pierce Howard and a Monty Larry, you know, two guys that between the two of them had over 100 RBIs. Wow. You got to have some guys step up, and I think he could be another guy that really helps us. Got a nice middle infield there. I know you got Caston Furr and I think it's a Bishke? Yeah. So Furr and Bishke. So again, Furr, awesome, unbelievable. I wish I could have 35 of him. I mean, he's a just unbelievable kid, athlete, very consistent. You know, Bishke tore his UCL, had to have Tommy John at Northwestern State last year. So he's not necessarily back. It's a work in progress. So may start Furr at short and Bishke at second. If Bishke can do it, we'll flip-flop him. So we got some options, just kind of see what we can do. I love what you said about Furr, though. You said if I had 35 of him, we'd be great. Now, what makes him so special? He's consistent. He doesn't complain. He works hard every day, and I don't have to worry about him in the classroom. Hey, the second one's big too, right? Does not complain. Yeah, I mean, again, he only comes to me if there's a real problem. He tends to figure things out on his own, which is, as a coach, that's pretty valuable. So is complaining a big part of baseball? Because I heard there's supposed to be no crying in baseball. Well, somebody's always complaining. Right? Somebody's always complaining. You just hope, again, you can complain, just you do it the right way, away from everything. And again, he's kind of the epitome of what you want as a college baseball player. Well, you mentioned, I was talking to you yesterday about the pitchers, and you said the one guy you had no qualms about was Tyler LeBlanc, right? And he's the guy that's going to get the ball on Fridays? Yeah, he'll be the Friday guy. You know, he did a good job last year. You know, threw pretty well for us. I think he had 7 wins. So hopefully a guy can potentially go out and get 7 to 10 this year, replicate what he did. Lefty, kind of 3/4 arm slot, 89, 92. So a guy that could be, you know, pretty productive on the mound for us this year, and hopefully will be an anchor on Friday night. What makes LeBlanc special for you? Again, he's a lefty throwing 90+ with a kind of a weird arm angle, as you can kind of see there. Right there, right? A little different arm angle. The thing for me that I like the most about him is he moves the fastball in very well to right-handers. Kind of almost, you know, locks their legs out a little bit. So good fastball command. Secondary stuff's getting there, but a guy's going to give you a chance to win every night. Brandon Mitchell? 5-year guy. Mitchell is one of these guys. Me and him have a love-hate relationship. Oh, yeah. Awesome kid, but I'm waiting for 1 year for him to really step up and dominate on the mound. Super talented kid, but he needs to have, this is his last go at, so hopefully he goes out on top. Well, you said I hope 1 year he can do it, so that would have to be this year, This year, yeah, that's what I'm banking this year. I hope this year's the one he goes out there and does what I know he's fully capable of. So is he Saturday slated right now? Saturday, Sunday, again, it's kind of those two spots are going to be Wednesday, could be bullpen. He's got to figure this thing out. Wide open. That's what you call a wild card. That's right. All right, so what about any other arms in the pitching staff that you hoping to count on? We're trying to figure out the end of the bullpen, right? I mean, a closer is kind of vital. That's something that we kind of lacked over the last couple of years. We had Reeves Martin a few years ago that was unbelievable. So we're trying to figure out that end piece of the game. We have a kid that was at Florida State, went to Chipola, named Colton Mercer. He's a lefty. Again, very good pitch ability, guy that we think we can count on. And then a kid transferred in from Indiana State, Jose Cabrera Jr. Again, dad pitched in the big leagues from the Dominican, a kid that I think that can help us. But again, the key to all this is consistency.
Oh, so that is the junior of Jose Cabrera, yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Pretty big name.
Sure. Yep.
What's your pitch? Like, because you're going against like the Matt Risers and the Jay Johnsons, obviously now Tulane's Joe Uhlman. What's your pitch to get to go to UNO?
Well, again, I don't like to recruit this area. It's pretty saturated. You know, I think Coach Reiser and obviously Jay over there at Tulane, those guys do a really good job. If you look at Reiser's, you know, his roster, it's basically a lot of Louisiana kids.
Yeah, it is.
You know, so what we do is we use it, you know, we outsource. We go get guys from Bishke's from Pittsburgh. We got guys from New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Miami, California. We kind of go branch out to where guys know where New Orleans is. If I go ask a kid, you know, from California, hey, have you ever heard of Thibodaux, Louisiana?
Right.
Have you ever heard of Natchitoches, Louisiana? 90% of them have never heard of it.
No.
Everyone knows where New Orleans is. So.
Well, I love that you have New Orleans on the thing now. When I grew up, it was UNO, right? But when you're recruiting out, a lot of people know UNO. I don't know that, but I've noticed that that's been the big push the last several years is have New Orleans. You're selling the city as well as the school.
Yeah, no doubt. That's been a big thing when they branded it and got the new logo in. They wanted it to say New Orleans because, again, not many people. I could probably ask 20 people that aren't from Louisiana what UNO is, and maybe one, if I was lucky, would know what it was. But, again, everyone registers New Orleans with this city here, so it was something that I thought made a big change as well.
Well, I know you're a great recruiter, personally, because I remember when Rankin Woolley left LSU, we were trying to work something out here, and he ended up going to Auburn. But I'm going to tell you what he told me. It's my godson. He said, listen, Blake Dean is an unbelievable recruiter, and I was very close to switching that Auburn thing to UNO. So that spoke volumes to me about what you can do in the recruiting kitchen.
Yeah, well, close isn't good enough, obviously.
It's not, but at least you got some props. Maybe somebody else is listening. Who knows?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, again, I think we got a good product, or we have a nice field, nice stadium. You know, again, it's a city to where there's a lot of opportunities out there, good and bad, but I think more good than anything else.
I don't usually stand up much, but I forgot I got the task shirts over here. So here, I know I got you a blue one here, buddy.
All right.
Got you a nice blue one here. This is Task Performance. I can't wait for your season. So you're going to get on the road, Kennesaw. You come back. Tell me about the home opener so everybody can get ready for that one.
So Jackson State, the following Friday, will be our home opener, 24th. Again, we play in that MLB Invitational that they host right there with us, Andre Dawson. We'll open that up. So hopefully, again, have a good opening weekend, get to that midweek, and then open it up at home and have a good success from there.
So tell me more about that MLB thing real quick.
So basically what it is MLBs came in, they use our facility, we use their field across the street, and they bring a lot of SWAC schools in and use our facility as well, and we play a tournament, basically 3-game weekend series. I think we played 3 different teams every year, Jackson State, FAMU, and Alabama State this year. So it's something good we've always enjoyed doing and participating in.
Well, you're not a stranger to this show, and I know you've had a few of these tests. I know you don't have this color yet because this is brand new. It's not quite UNO blue, but you can get by. I know I picked that one out for you personally because that's the first day. It's the first day I've got them. I got these yesterday.
Heck yeah!
Hope you enjoy that. Task Performance. Do you wear the other ones or no?
Yeah. I wear shirts. Yeah, I've worn it at the house before. I'm a bum around, lay around guy, so I enjoy it. It's a comfortable shirt.
It's the best comfort. This is close to Tulane's campus, but that doesn't mind. I mean, it's free food right there, right? Shays Delachey's on Maple Street. Also, you can go to Delachey's on St. Charles. Looking forward to it. Lots of history at UNO, and always love you when you come, man.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate you having me.
Appreciate you, Blake Dean. Check out the UNO Privateers. Hey, the 24th, you can check them out at home, but follow them all season. They start off Kennesaw State and Southern Miss. That's a tough way to start the season, but they're going to be up for the task. This is all baseball right here. I tell you, Matt Reiser hasn't been on the show since 2019 because COVID year, I was off for 2 years, but he was on 3 times before that. He's a former Tulane legend, and he's doing great things with Southeastern, also in the Southland Conference with UNO as well. He's coming up next right here. Stay tuned for Primetime Sports.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
Hey, welcome back to Primetime Sports. I know I don't want to just belabor the point, but this is the baseball show. The baseball season does start in 10 days, and I can't wait for that. I'm going to tell you this. When I first started the TV show 7 years ago, one of my guests that I truly loved having each year before COVID took us off was my next one. Matt Reiser was a Tulane legend. He went to the World Series back in 05. He played with them 05, 06. He is from Picayune, Mississippi. Went to Pearl River before that. But I'm going to say this right here. This guy is a gamer, not just as a player. This is when he was on the show a couple times back in the day in our old studio. But what a great coach, man. You can just tell. I went to a couple Southeastern games. I think they might have been playing UNO. And I'm like watching the coaches. And this guy is a baseball guy. And I'm going to tell you this. He is loyal to the Southeastern Lions. He's staying in Hammond. He's got a family there. He's been there. His kids are 7, 5, and 2, and they're really enjoying life there. But he is I haven't had him on since 19 because COVID happened. I didn't get to have him on in 20, and then we were off the air the next 2 years. But this is my first year back for the baseball season, and I'm happy to have him back. Southeastern Lions head coach Matt Reiser.
Scott, man, appreciate you having me again.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, great to be back.
And I know you've had opportunities, Matt, to go other places, and I've loved that you that were loyal to Southeastern. I mean, you're loyal to the city of Hammond. They love you there. You are a true Lion.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. We're going to year 16 of being in Hammond, America.
Crazy.
Now it is crazy.
16 years.
16 years. Spent 6 years there as an assistant.
Yeah.
Going to year 10 now as a head coach, and we were able to set some roots there. Hammond has a lot of us looking forward to raise a family, and obviously what we have in the university, the pride we have in the university, being able to live close to campus and the interactions we have with folks on campus. It has a lot to offer. So yeah, it's been one of those things for us that we've continued loving our time there in Hammond, America, and obviously what we've built. Right when we first got there, what it was and what it is now is a little bit different. So we kind of want to see this thing through. I heard Coach Dean talk a little bit, talking about where they were and where they are now. And he wants to continue to push forward. Same thing with us there in Hammond, America.
Speaking of Coach Dean and speaking of interaction, it was really cool to see you guys. I know Jay Uhlman told me to tell you hello because he was on first, but he had to get to a press conference.
Yep.
But I would say this. It was neat because you two are baseball. I call y'all legends because you both did World Series action.
Right.
Him at LSU, you at Tulane. He's now coaching at UNO, you at Southeastern. This is all incestuous, the family. But you guys genuinely like each other. I could tell. I mean, y'all are competitors,
yep.
as tough as it gets on the field. But, man, you respect each other.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's a lot of similarities in what we are mindset-wise and who we are as individuals, right? And like you said, man, we between the white lines, I mean, it's two raccoons and a wool sock, man. We're getting after it, right? But once it's all said and done, we talk weekly, sometimes daily during the season when things are going on. And I'm very fortunate to have that friendship with Coach Dean as well.
I'm going to say this, man. I've been following y'all pretty closely. I watch the box scores. Even if I'm not going to games, I look and see how you're doing. And you have a lot of great players over the years. I mean, seriously great players. And you know what I'm talking about, guys that led the country in, batting, and you had some great pitchers. When you see these guys progress, how does that make you feel as, kind of a, not just a coach, but you're a father figure to some of these guys? Yeah,
I'll be honest with you. We just had our alumni game on Sunday, and we had over 40 gentlemen show up for the game. And we looked around at one point in time, there was not a single guy on the field that hadn't been to a regional. And at one point in time, we had 7 of the 9 on the field that had won a regional game.
That's crazy, man.
Pretty
That's success
talented.
right there. Think about that.
Just a lot of success, man. But to see those guys show up with their families, right? To see them show up with their kids, and how much Southeastern meant to them, and how much it meant to bring their family back and bring their kids back to the BP with the alumni and that kind of stuff. Those were the things, man, that we really cherish. And I'll go back to Coach Corbin. I talked to him a few years ago, and he talked about winning that first national championship. And then kind of, you see that's what you chase year in and year out, right? Like you said, you start out 0-0, and you're looking to win a national championship. He said, but it didn't validate, everything he had done before that point, right? All the weddings that he'd gone to, all the kids that he'd seen that had the kids and had their own families, became husbands and fathers. So really need to see that this past weekend, the crowd that we had. And before I get completely into baseball, I want to bring up one thing, because I mentioned this with Tulane. All the programs seem to be clicking, right? Fritz had going on, Hunter's got it going, but the same thing at Southeastern, man. Look what they did. Frank Selfo had such a phenomenal year in football. That's awesome. Advancing in the playoffs, doing extremely well, and then obviously Kiefer, they're in a three-way tie for first place in the Southland, man. It used to be you were the head dog. Now you're saying I got to get back and catch up with these dudes. What's it like to have all the things clicking at the same time? Well, just it goes back to administration. Coach Ortiz, I'll always call him Coach. I won't ever call him Legend. That's what he is. True legend. That's it. Right. That's your mentor, right? That's it. And obviously him and Coach Jones, at Tulane, man, those two guys have leaned on a lot over the years for just different pieces of advice. twice. But, the culture we had built in baseball, he wanted to take that to our entire athletic department. Found the right guys to buy into that, to believe in that, and obviously the year that Frank had, we have a very close relationship. Anthony was a freshman my senior year at Tulane, so we played together. I still remember Coach Selfo asking me to come play my year 5 when I was just going to school for football.
Okay, what was Anthony? Is that his brother? Or
that's his son.
That's his son.
That's his son.
Anthony's his
son. Anthony played with me.
Wow.
So there's a relationship there prior to Southeastern, and so now obviously to see Anthony now there as well, coaching under Frank, with his kid as well, or his kids. He's got 2 boys as well.
Was Chris Selfo coaching at Tulane when you were there?
He was. That's right.
Yeah, because he was. That's his brother.
So that's Chris and Frank are brothers. That's right.
They're brothers,
that's
right?
right.
I knew Chris when he was at Georgia because I was living in Atlanta at the time.
There you go.
So this is a family.
This is a family, and that's what it is. That's what Hammond America is, and that's what Southeastern is, and that's what. It's hard to put that into context for people who don't understand Southeastern, right? Like I heard Blake talking a little bit. He's got the logo of New Orleans. He can go anywhere in the country. You go Southeastern Louisiana University up in Washington, they may go, is that a junior college, D2? What we got here?
Right.
They don't know. But then they get on campus, they see what Hammond has to provide, they see what the university has to provide. You see that family-oriented atmosphere.
Tell me about Hammond America. Tell me about that phrase. I've heard it a lot.
Well, we got into a situation where we take a lot of pride in what Hammond is, and it's a phrase that we kind of coined, and we end up having the uniforms we brought out last year. And our kids, they play hard. They play with a lot of grit, play with a lot of attitude, and they play with a lot of pride. And they go out there. They're very selfless in what they do and who they play for. And it's not for themselves. It's for the guys around them, and obviously for the city as well. So we did the Hammond American uniforms last year to kind of represent that a little bit, and obviously it's caught on. It's on our basketball court now. Football's talking about trying to make a uniform as well. So it's just one of those things that we continue to brand of what Hammond has to offer.
Now, you heard the Blake Dean interview. You were in the room at the time, but I'm going to ask you the same thing. I mean, you got all these great programs within just miles. I didn't even bring up Nichols. Yeah. They've had success as well. And we go down the I-10. You got LSU, then you're going on to Lafayette. You got McNeese. You go up there. You got Louisiana Tech, obviously Tulane. You got a lot of good programs around here, UNO. I mean, so what's that like recruiting for you? Because I know Blake said he goes all around the country. He used that New Orleans name. Jay Johnson goes all around the country, but I know there's tons of talent here in Louisiana, tons of it. I know you get some of it.
There is. We've got a roster composed of about 80 guys, or 80% of our roster is from Louisiana, or at least a 2-hour radius. Whether it's the coast of Mississippi or right there in Jackson area. But for us, man, it's about a fit. We tell these kids, hey, we're very upfront and genuine in what we do. We don't try to mislead them, misguide them in who we are, what we are. Things might be a little bit different than what we do at Southeastern and other places. I don't know what other places do. The only thing I know is Southeastern, what we do. Here I am. Here's presented. If you don't like it, no big deal. We'll find the guys who buy in and want to be at Southeastern, want to be a part of our program. There's enough players out there that you can find it. You might have to work a little bit harder to find it, but from a talent standpoint, look, talent's at an all-time high. I mean, let's be honest. With COVID backing up the years of eligibility, the draft dropping down to 20 rounds. There's so much more talent at the college level.
I forgot about that 20-round thing.
That's it. It's made this thing completely different. So the parity of college baseball, man, from a talent standpoint, is an all-time high. So what's going to be the separator? What's going to be the advantage? It's going to be guys who want to be in Hammond America and want to be at Southeastern.
Let's talk about a great story. Coach Mamu passed away, right? Oh. And you have a new thing. I know LSU's known for having the number 7, the number 18. These things mean something. Tell us what you're doing in memory of him.
Yeah, Mamu was the epitome of what we are as a Lion, right? We talk about a Lion for life all the time, and just his competitiveness, his energy, his resilience, and what he did. He was a former player of ours. I had the good fortune to recruit him and also coach him at Southeastern. I had the good fortune of being able to bring him back on my staff. He was with us for 3 years as a volunteer, took a head high school job for a year, and then I was able to bring him back as our pitching coach. And unfortunately, he was diagnosed with a brain tumor there.
How old was he?
30 years old.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah,
goodness
so
gracious.
2 years of a hard-fought battle after they gave him 6 months after the original diagnosis, and just what he left in our program, man, that again, he embodied everything that we want to be, from a student-athlete standpoint, from a human being standpoint.
Sure.
So we found a way to honor that. We didn't want to retire the jersey and just put it on the wall. I know Mamu would be yelling at me from up the top, right? Hey, man, don't take my number off the wall. Let one of the kids wear it, because that's what he was always oriented about, was our student-athletes, as our players. So we started a new tradition where we'll vote, the team will vote, the coaches will vote on one guy to wear the number 18 each year, and this year will be Connor Manola, so they start a new tradition.
What were Connor's attributes to give him the honor to be the very first one?
You know, we talk about how to be selfless and how to impact others around you. And Connor obviously does that on the field. He's a commander and a leader on the field for us. He's in year 6 for us. He had the privilege to be coached by Coach Mahmoud, right? Wow. So they had a relationship there. Coach Mahmoud was our pitching coach. He's a catcher. So obviously that relationship was very, very close. But the impact he makes off the field, the impact and influence he makes not only on our team and our guys, you know, outside of the classroom, but the kids that are running around the ballpark, right? The other adults that are around that see how he carries himself and how he handles himself. Yeah, it was funny how it kind of all worked out and fell right into place, man. It was good Mahmoud looking after us, saying, hey, man, that's definitely the pick.
That's the guy right there.
That's the guy.
Well, catcher happens to be a deep position for you. You got another guy, Grzafi, right? I mean, so how are you going to play these two great guys, and tell us about what he does?
Yeah, you know, I mean, in all honesty,
Bryce Grzafi.
Yeah, Bryce Grzafi. Yeah, each one brings their different strengths, you know, to the program. Bryce Grzafi is extremely talented. You know, the amount of arm talent that he has back there, you know, I'll put it against anybody else in the country. Extremely athletic, can really move back there. And in all honesty, at this level, you're playing 56 games 5 days a week. You need 2 catchers. You know, if you're only playing one guy 5 days a week, they get wore down, and they're not their best capabilities. So obviously the DH spot's always open. If one's going there, you can put one in the DH. You know, Connor has the ability to play for some first base as well. So have those 2 guys batter back there, have the experience back there to anchor what I think is a very talented pitching staff will pay huge dividends as the year goes along.
You got a lot of returning talent, and one of them has a distinction of being the guy that hit most by pitches in the season. Your team led the country in hit by pitches. That takes discipline to stand in. I don't know how you teach it, but Rhett Rosevere is the guy I'm talking about. Talk about him and tell me what makes a guy be able to stand in and get hit by a pitch, because I know most of us don't want to do it.
Look, it's a makeup, it's a mentality, right? We talk about dominate the inner half. If they miss in, they hit you. If they miss over the white part of the plate, there you go.
Dude, I could have put 5 pictures of him diving. I only put 2 out, and I love it. He takes off like Charlie Hustle, Pete Rose.
I'm telling you, and he is. You go watch him, you go look at him. He's not the sexiest player in the world, but man, is he a hard-nosed, you know, throwback type of player, and he'll stand in there, man. He'll take one of the best of them, run down to first base, set the national record, tied the national record for a single season last year, and was brought back 5 or 6 times, so could easily have broken the record. But a young man who's talented and just, you know, again, an anchor for us in that lineup.
Well, give us a nutshell of some of the players that you're counting on that are returning and that you're looking forward to seeing again.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at guys like Shea Thomas, man, where he finished up at the end of last year, being our 3-hole this year, just really, really grew as the year went along, really tapped into some power. We had the alumni game on Saturday. He hit a home run in our 3-hole. Jake Killingsworth's a new guy we signed out of.
Jake Killingsworth, a.k.a. Logan Grzafi, our guy in the back.
Yeah, there's some similarity. There you go.
Not necessarily that one. That picture looks like Logan. And y'all might remember Logan Pinchot was on the show not long ago. I looked at that picture, I said, and he went to Southeastern. So tell me about this guy.
Yeah, you know, a guy can really hit, and he is another just throwback player, you know. Again, embodies that makeup, that mentality we talk about, loves baseball, loves being around, loves to compete, loves to get dirty, just that grinder, grit guy, but he's got a lot of power in the bat. Those guys went back-to-back on Sunday. It's going to be a force to be reckoned with. We're talking about him in the 3, Killingsworth in the 4, Garcia in the 5-hole, who's our right fielder, 4th-year guy. That's going to be a tough kind of murderer's row like Coach Dean was talking about that 09 team they used to have.
You're getting excited, huh?
Oh, man, I can't help but get excited, man, you know?
Well, let me tell you this. I mean, any newcomers, you know, that you're like, oh, my gosh, we got this guy, and I can't wait to see him in green.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one that obviously sticks out when you start talking about some different guys, or guys that are actually coming back from injury and nobody got a chance to look at.
Yeah.
You know, Jay Long went down with an ACL injury 2 weeks before the season started last year. We had high hopes for him to be in the rotation, to be our Saturday starter, and it gives a left-handed option there, right? Very fortunate that, you know, it's a guy with command both sides of the plate, with plus all speed pitches, and this stuff's actually ticked up since the injury last year. He's done a great job of working, rehabbing to get back into that. So that'll be one of the newcomers that you'll see.
And the freshman All-American.
And then the freshman All-American, Brendan Stuprich, right? So he is a new of an old, right? Wasn't there with us last year, had the Tommy John surgery. We had some hopes of possibly getting him back in the middle of the season. It didn't work out. We made a decision collectively in his best interest and the team's best interest to take the red shirt last year, and now he's back better than ever, has a chance to anchor that Friday night staff. It's got a chance. He's got Stuprich, Will Kinsler's been a 3-year starter for us. Big right-handed Lander, man, who's been a 2-year everyday starter for us since his freshman year. A ton of experience, man. The plus off-speed pitch that he can do, the command he's got. You got Andrew Lander, who's probably the top draft prospect of this rotation.
Wow.
Yeah, a
Tell
young man,
him.
extremely athletic, extremely electric. Has always had kind of the stuff, has had to kind of get it back in the zone a little bit.
Yeah.
Really came into his own at the end of last year. All the injuries we had on the mound last year really paid huge dividends for a guy like that young man. He's ready, he's experienced, he's got a chance to anchor that Friday night spot as well because he'll run the ball up to 97 miles an hour with 4-pitch mix.
I'm just going to couple names I just remember. Aaron Hosack, what's going on there?
Yeah, that's another one of the newcomers for us. He's got a chance to be in that weekend rotation, a pitchability right-hander out of the Midwest that we got out of Connor State. Yep, he's a good old Oklahoma boy from the farm, right? His parents have a farm up there in Oklahoma, and just a young man who loves to compete. Could really be in a weekend rotation.
Guy, man.
No doubt. You see, right? There's an identity of what we are and who we are. The guys who love baseball. The guys who love each other. That's just they're old school throwback type players, and more than likely Hosack will anchor down our midweek start.
Would a Lenny Dykstra fit on your team?
Lenny Dykstra would have been right in the middle of it.
Right in the middle with
all the Chewbacca and a few
and the good part of Pete Rose.
Yeah,
That's what Pete Rose is my guy. He kind of became a clown late in life, but as a baseball player, and that's what I think about guys like you. I remember you played with. I think you post Cannizzaro.
Post Cannizzaro.
Yeah, Cannizzaro was
we were Owens and Bogasevic and Manzella. That was the crew that I played with. Yep.
But I mean, one last thing before I let you go. Being in a World Series, right? You got to play in a World Series for Tulane. I mean, that's not common for players, right? Especially at a smaller school like Tulane. Can you use that experience? Because you guys are at one point perennial in the tournament. And I know you're pretty much a regular in the NCAA tournament. Can you use that experience being from a small school? Now you've built this thing, kind of like Tulane did for a while there. And when you talk to you guys about going and going further in the NCAA tournament?
Well, 100%. My career's done, right?
Yeah.
I played. I'm done. I got a chance to experience that, right? Yeah, I wish. But in all honesty, I mean, I had my experience, and now it's relating to them. Hey, man, I want you guys to experience that as players. I got to experience that as a player. The good fortune of it. I had dreamed of it since I was 6 years old. If you came around the ballpark or came around the house, right, during the College World Series, that's what we did. We watched the World College World Series as I was growing up. That was always my ambition to play in the College World Series. And mine, pro ball, maybe not.
Right.
But that's what my ambition was. For these guys, I want them to be able to experience that as well, because my thought was Omaha is this small town like Picayune, Mississippi, in the middle of Nebraska, right? And you get there, it's 1.5 million people, and there's 70,000 people around the stadium. Just a really neat, cool experience. So that's, again, why we say in Hammond, America. Is there some selfishness in this? Probably a little bit. Hey, man, we've done a good job of building the program at this point. I want us to be the coaching staff that gets it to Omaha, and I don't want to turn the keys over to somebody else.
I always look forward to this show because, I mean, you get real baseball guys, and you got them all in one show, and I love it. Last week we had LSU. We got 3 all together today, and I'm going to tell you this. This team right here might be one of the more successful ones in the state we've seen and consistently over the last several years. And this is the man that's the reason why. Well, we give gifts. You haven't had one since 2019, but I know you told me you like these Taz shirts.
I'm fired up to get this one again. Look, my wife found this shirt. I was wearing it a lot. She's like, man, you wear that thing a lot. And started to give me some for Christmas. So these are fantastic shirts.
You got a black one yet?
I don't have a black one. This is perfect.
Yeah,
this is perfect. I'll throw me a Southeastern logo right in the middle of it.
Can you yes, line up on that thing. Can you bring your wife down, get a little gift certificate here, Shays Delachey's nice restaurant uptown?
Oh, yep. That'd be a good one.
Right near your old Tulane campus where you play. Appreciate you. Hey, support this team real quick. When's your season start and when you
We open up February 17th at home. Yep, we got a 4-game set against Lafayette College, and the next weekend we'll have Sanford at home that weekend. Got a great non-conference schedule. Have a chance to go to Jacksonville the following weekend, and got a chance to go to Auburn. We get a little chance for redemption.
You're going to Auburn. That's right.
Yeah.
What did they do to you last year?
Yeah, it spanked us. They spanked us open night, so we'll get a little redemption there for that
brother.
weekend.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thank you, Scott.
One of the best in the business. Truly love this guy. I'm so glad he was able to come back on short notice. I appreciate him. Matt Reiser. Hey, go support the Lions, baby. They got a lot of things going over there. It's not that far from New Orleans. It's a quick ride. And plus, if you're watching this in Hammond, you can get this at home, too. Hey, this has been a great show. Got to thank, there's a lot of names out there, so I got to thank my producer big time today and the guys working there. Will Hill does an amazing job back there. Thank you, Will. Appreciate you. Logan, otherwise known as Killingsworth. He did a great job. And, of course, Alex. Appreciate all you guys and everybody here at WLE. Big baseball coming up. I know we got basketball, we got March Madness, but baseball's starting to support all the teams here. A lot of good talent, and we want to support them all. Say, hey, next week we're going to get back, maybe a little basketball. We're going to do some other stuff too. But I love the baseball show every year. Thank you, and we'll see you next week right here on Primetime Sports.